put it. And now to a player that used to call New York home. Browns wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. OBJ recently hinting at being done in Cleveland before clarifying himself. More on that in a moment. He couldn't help but joke about it, with reporters even saying he's thought about going north of the border.
I've been talking to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Toronto Argonauts. You know, a couple Canadian League teams that I'm also, you know, trying to get traded to. So it's been, you know, it's been great conversations. It's just, it's done. It's old. You know, like, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here. We're gonna figure this thing out. It's just too special to leave. So it's just too good. You know, I didn't buy a house here to sell it. You know, I know people have said, you know, I didn't sign them to trade them before, but I didn't really buy a house here to up and leave it and do renovations on the house and build a doghouse and yeah.
Well, OBJ adding the Browns are going to be what they felt they should have been this year. And I mean, the guy built a doghouse, for crying out loud. So he's clearly not going anywhere. Clearly. He's staying put, if you are to believe what he says there.
Convince me.
Build a doghouse, yeah.
Thank you
got the doghouse.
There's a lot of marriage comparisons here. It sounds like a guy who's like, I'm in this. Let's go to therapy. Let's stay here.
Oh, you think he was
I
throwing
built
in the
a house. Yeah.
Renew our vows?
How can this marriage last between Odell and the Browns?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that there's something very relatable about, you know, Baker and kitchens, but like those countertops in my kitchen, I worked hard on those. And we knocked out a wall and a load-bearing wall. That ain't cheap. The kitchens thing, I think, is really the crux of this. And I've never really believed in hiring the interim coach for the full gig. I think it ends up badly. And I think Exhibit A is Odell Beckham, who was a superstar in this league and is now a complete afterthought this season. We don't talk about him. He's not relevant. He's on a team that doesn't matter. He doesn't make plays. And that's not his ability. It's not his attitude. They've both been fantastic. I never like to fire anybody on TV, but I would say for the sake of the Browns' talent, I would really like to see some new leadership.
Oh,
I would.
Wait, really?
I would. Yeah, I don't think it's working, Mike.
I don't know about that. Even though, yeah, you can say Freddie Kitchens has made some questionable, let's just say questionable calls. But
I think the thing he had going for him, Mike, just to finish, I think maybe Freddie's biggest calling card is the players love me. They love me. They're behind me. I don't know if the players do love him anymore. But at the end of the season, I don't know if they do.
But optics can be an illusion.
Sure.
We don't know exactly the nature of the conversation, and they're emotional. They're going through a game, and they're losing. Odell Beckham, you said it. He was part of the New York Giants, superstar. You know, we knew exactly what. But the Giants weren't always good when he was on the team, right? But he was still in everybody's.
Still huge.
Yeah, still huge. Still huge personality. To me, the city of Cleveland, and I love the city of Cleveland, like personally, but just the media market isn't big enough to, you know, to be interesting to Odell. To me, that's part of it. Okay. This guy earns millions of dollars off the field as well. And to me, when
LeBron
he was so
did okay there.
Yeah, he did, but that's LeBron. That's, you know, one of a generation type of a basketball player.
Yes.
Yeah, did he, you know, to a degree. But Odell, to me, I don't know if it's going to work out here in Cleveland. I don't know if Baker Mayfield is truly the franchise quarterback personality to lead those types of guys along with the head coach.
Let me ask you this. To respond to Kyle saying maybe it would be nice to see new leadership, why shouldn't there be new leadership? What has Freddie Kitchens done to sort of retain this responsibility?
Well, to me, I think his rapport with the players, and I talked to some guys in that locker room, I think his rapport with the players are a lot better than what we as the media says it is, you know, or what the optics on the sideline when guys are going back and forth. Of course, Jarvis, he leads the team in receptions. Of course, if he doesn't have any catches, he's going to be a little pissed off. Of course, he's going to let the head coach and the play caller know about it. So when I look at it that way, again, I'm just not sure that it's all on Freddie Kitchens.
I'm looking at this like Odell can say he's into it all he wants. He's under contract. It's up to the team now to decide if he is going to still be a part of this going forward. And I believe that they will keep him in there, because you're not going to now make this trade and then turn around and get 20 cents on the dollar basically on what you dealt for him. Sure. So that's number one. Number two, he can be in it and say, we're going to be here and we're going to figure this out all we want. What happens if we start next season and it's the same kind of vibe going on? Do you really think that this committed Odell that you saw here, who, by the way, could have put this thing to rest immediately, the day that it was reported, he was in the post-game locker room, he said, yeah, I'm not going to comment on that.
It's a trust thing.
Nip it in the bud.
Yep.
Right? Nip it in the bud then. Don't let this thing breathe life into itself and then make jokes about the CFL. He could have stopped it a lot sooner. So I'm not convinced that this wouldn't happen again with the same cycle next year.
Let me quickly ask you guys this. I'm sure you all know people in your lives. You guys are all three, happily married, that have dated one person that's like this, and they're like, oh, I'm not happy. They go and date the opposite. They're still not happy. They go and try different things that are going to make them happy, and they don't. Can Odell Beckham Jr. land in a spot in the NFL where he is content, happy, and committed?
Yes, New York, 3 years ago.
Yeah. Do you think so? Was he happy then?
Yes, I think that was happy Odell. Yeah.
It's tough. I know what you're saying. It's New York to Cleveland. It's like from the swingers party to the hardware store.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot.
That's
you
exactly
need to
what I
find
meant,
that porridge in the middle.
But does that porridge exist for somebody like Odell?
That was hilarious. When you really think about what he just said.
He's a peacock. He's a peacock. I think wherever Odell goes, it's never going to be perfect because that's his personality. I don't care if it's perfect. I just want to see him productive. Freddie Kitchens' whole thing was offense. The offense hasn't been good. Never mind the optics. The offense has been almost embarrassing at times.
Sometimes you need the hardware store.
But the quarterback has something to do with that too.
No, 100%. We'll get into Baker first.
I would ask you autobiographical, but that's something Nate would ask you. I would never ask you that. Let's talk more about the NFC East matchup in the second part. The Eagles fight for their playoff lives against the Cowboys in Philadelphia on Sunday. That is a big one. We've got a triple header on Saturday, though. 3 games.